Hi, you guys. Today I wanted to talk about a topic that I was asked about a few months ago. And yeah, I thought it would be very interesting because I haven't seen a video like this. So, I mean, obviously, this is just my own personal experience. I can't speak for everybody. So, disclaimer on that, obviously. But, anyways, I wanted to talk about just like the realities and the truth about using Dreaming Spanish in another country. And just like my experience with that because I literally started Dreaming Spanish maybe like 2 weeks after I moved to Chile last year. So I really hit the ground running. I had already been learning Spanish a little bit before that. And I was just doing very random things, to be honest. And I don't know, I just kept seeing Dreaming Spanish popping up on my recommendations on YouTube, and like I was kind of like ignoring it because I'm like, oh, like those people count hours, like they do. Like, I'm not doing that. I don't know what video it was, but there's a video where I'm like, yeah, I will never count hours. Okay, so like I'm not exactly like a comprehensible input girly because like there's no way you would ever catch me like calculating hours. And then there I was a few months later counting hours. But anyways, yeah, I remember I watched Greg and Lisa Lewis's one of their videos. I think they were like their 600-hour update or 300, I don't know, something like that. And I just remember watching it, and like they were living in Spain, and I'm like, okay, I am convinced. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna try this. And yeah, so I started Dreaming Spanish right after I moved to Chile. And so I wanted to talk about that experience a little bit because of course, there are people, I mean, I've seen it like in the Discord server of people who are living in a Spanish-speaking country while doing Dreaming Spanish. However, I think it is interesting to kind of see, like, talk about maybe some of the differences as somebody who lives in a Spanish-speaking country versus somebody who doesn't, and like what that can be like. So yeah, I have a few little points, so whenever you see me looking over, it's just because I have my notes over here. And yeah, so the very first one I want to talk about, because I feel like this is the most common thought that to me is just not true, is that whenever you live in a Spanish-speaking country, all of a sudden you're special, like you have an advantage, like, oh, well, yeah, of course, like you're gonna learn the language fast, like you live there. And I think people forget that there's so many people, like so many immigrant communities of North Americans, Europeans, whatever, in Spanish-speaking countries, or even like in Southeast Asia, and they just have their little community and they never learn the language. But it's like, since they're immersed, they should, but they don't, because there is an effort that goes into it. And so I felt like sometimes I felt kind of bad because I'm like, oh, well, you live in Chile, like you must be learning like so fast, or like, oh, of course, like you should. No, no, I'm actually going at a very slow pace. So sometimes it was just kind of like, and I think it depends on the person as well. Maybe a lot of people who think that also are very extroverted, because I think that some people can come to a new country and just like hit the ground running, like trying to talk to everybody, making the local friends. And that was just not my experience at all, because yeah, that's not me. And a lot of the times, especially after just moving to a new country, it definitely was not like on my to-do list to like go outside and make friends immediately. I was overwhelmed. I felt very overwhelmed, and like my Spanish just was not up to par, and I didn't have the confidence to just like try to talk to random people on the street at all. Even now, I don't even really want to do that. And so I do feel like that kind of put on a pressure of like, sometimes it was kind of annoying to hear. Like, oh, like, well, you're immersed. It's really like not that hard to just like not be immersed though. And I think that, like a lot of people, either like they'll have like their job online, or like they go to a school every day and like they speak in their native language, like in English, like if you're an English tutor, teacher, whatever. And so it's just like, it's really not that hard to just like not, just to like not, especially as an introvert, there's just less of a feeling of like needing to go out and like force conversations. And I don't know. For me, I would say that was the first thing, just by moving here, that like automatically kind of gave me some pressure of like, oh, maybe I should be better than I am, or maybe I should be doing that. But at the end of the day, it just does not align to my personality at all, and I had to like kind of get over it. Another thing that I found interesting that I did not expect is that English became very comforting for me. It was like my comfort language, but it sounds funny because I mean, like at that point I'm only learning Spanish, so it's not like I have all these languages to choose from. But there was some days where it was just like, I don't know, sometimes it was just so overwhelming that I was just like, I'm just gonna like lock myself in here. I'm gonna watch things in English. I'm going to read in English, and I'm just gonna do things in English. I'm gonna listen to a podcast in English. I'm gonna listen to music in English, because at least there's a language out there that I'm somewhat good at. I did not expect that because like that was kind of weird. Like I did not realize that like English would kind of become cozy for me in a way because it was just like, I don't know. Sometimes when everything is overwhelming, you want to have that feeling of just like, I don't know, I am okay at something. There is something in this world that I can do. There's a language in this world that I can speak and not sound ridiculous, you know? And so, yeah, that was actually kind of a funny one that sometimes I actually still do feel. Now that I can live a lot of my life in Spanish, I don't feel it as much, but at the end of the day, sometimes there's just a feeling. Another thing that I think happened to me while living here was that there's a lot of pressure to speed run. And I think that also maybe if you're just like online a lot, like if you're just like in the Discord and in the Reddit, like you're gonna like have a pressure to speed run because sometimes I see people like, I only do 2 hours a day. Am I doing enough? 15 minutes a day is enough. Like it depends on the person. Like anything that you do is enough. Like you're moving towards your goal. So I do think in the community overall there's a feeling to speed run, but I definitely felt that doubled with the fact that I'm living in a Spanish speaking country and like I want to talk to people today. You know what I mean? Like I want to be good today. And so I didn't speed run like perfectly. I definitely had months where I was like, okay, go, go, go. And then other months where I was just burnt out and I just let myself be burnt out. But I definitely felt that feeling of like, I need to be doing everything. And so that was another thing as well. But I do think that could be more common just because the nature of the community is very like numbers and like moving fast and yeah. Something else that I found kind of complicated was the whole thing about speaking. Okay. So, like I said, I started dreaming Spanish after moving to Chile. Now that I'm in Chile, I should be speaking in Spanish. But the roadmap's like, and it was just like the wording for me. The wording really made me paranoid because it's like, okay, well, you could start speaking at 600 hours if you don't care about your accent. And I don't think it says it like that, but that's how I read it. I don't think it says it exactly like that. I'll put it what it actually says on the screen. But that's how I read it. And I'm like, well, of course I care about my accent. So I'm only going to talk a little bit. I'm only going to talk when I have to. It's like, yeah, I can order and do that type of thing, but I'm not doing a lot. I'm not trying to like speak a lot. And here and there I would do it because I'm just like, okay. Once I actually got to 600 hours, I was like, okay, language exchange friends, like natives, like, come on, like, and then it just, because it was in the back of my head, if you care about your accent, you won't be speaking. If you care about your, so it was like awkward because it's like, I know that Pablo does say that once you were in a Spanish speaking country, obviously you can't help it. You need to be speaking. But in my little introverted brain, I'm like, but I can probably get away with not speaking much. So I do think I had like a lot of like, it was kind of like a push and pull, you know, because I'm like, well, I really, in my heart, I want to wait till 1,000 hours because I care about my accent a lot. And I will say now that I am past 1,000 hours and just like, a lot of people have passed 1,000 hours. A lot of people have finished a roadmap. I will say the waiting until 1,000 hour thing, I don't actually agree with it. I do understand like the silent period, especially in the beginning, like whenever you're first learning a language. I just genuinely don't think it needs to be that long, especially now that I've seen just so many examples of people who have done the dreaming Spanish method and people who haven't. And I would say that results vary across the board. Like there's just nobody in the dreaming Spanish community that makes me go, oh yeah, this makes sense. This is why we have to wait till 1,000. But then there's people in the other side of it who did more traditional where I'm just like, yeah, still it doesn't make sense why we had to wait till 1,000 because it's like they speak very, very well. So it's just like, you know, no matter what method people decided to use or the way that they decided to go about learning the language, you get a mix. You get the people who have really good accents and people who don't. And how they learned a lot of the times isn't actually the reason for that. What I've noticed. I understand it from the point waiting a little bit longer makes it so that it's a lot easier to have vocabulary to already work with and to already understand the grammar a little bit. So I understand it from that standpoint. But whenever it comes to accent or pronunciation, I don't see how it goes together. And yeah, so those are the things I would say that were kind of more on the harder side. But yeah, I would say some of the advantages that I had was I feel like being in Chile while doing Dreaming Spanish totally made me motivated. There was never a day that passed where I was like, I'm not doing this anymore, you know? And I don't know, when I was in the United States, maybe that would have happened. Well, it kind of did. Because the first year I started learning Spanish in 2023, it was very much on and off. Some months I cared, some months I didn't, you know? And so being in Chile during the time, I think and just also being a part of the community, I think helped. Like, I don't know, just reading everybody else's successes and stuff really kept me motivated. But it was also the fact that like I do live in Chile and I want to leave Chile. being able to say that I speak Spanish. And so I think being here definitely motivated me in ways that it was like, even on the days I didn't want to do anything, I did 15 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever. The only times I really actually didn't do anything was when I was like busy, like whenever I was like traveling, like travel day, like that type of stuff. Maybe like whenever I got to like be with my family again, maybe during like holidays. Those days are like probably the only days I didn't actually do anything. But other than that, I would say, yeah, being here in Chile definitely kept me like, no matter what, I'm learning Spanish. Like, it's just not an option. And I have found that I actually struggle with that a lot, because there's other languages I want to learn, and like I've been telling myself, okay, I'm gonna start. Like, Korean's one of them. And I think because I have less of a immediate reason to know Korean, it's really easy to be like, oh, I don't have to start it yet. Oh, I don't have to start it yet. And so just for me personally, I think being in Chile definitely has kept me like, okay, I have to be moving forward in some type of way. Whether it's slow, whether it's fast, I have to be moving forward. Another thing that Dreaming Spanish really helped me with the most at the end of the day is listening. If it was not for Dreaming Spanish, I would definitely agree with everybody about how hard it is to understand Chileans. If it was not for Dreaming Spanish. And that being said, yes, on Dreaming Spanish, they only have Tomas. Because of that, I knew the importance of listening in a way that I didn't know before. All of my failed attempts in the past to learn languages, listening was the last thing I did. Okay, speaking was the last thing I did, but listening was right next to it. I was definitely more like, I'm just gonna read and I'm gonna write. I'm gonna read and I'm gonna write, because that's just kind of my thing. And so with Dreaming Spanish, I knew I need to be listening. I need to be listening. And even if I didn't understand it, I was listening to high-level Spanish. I was listening to Chilean Spanish at a higher level, just to get myself used to it. And it's like, okay, maybe I didn't count it towards my hours, or sometimes if I could understand a little bit, I would like count half the time, or like whatever I felt was appropriate. But it's like, that has helped me so much. And if it wasn't for Dreaming Spanish, I wouldn't have thought of it. I probably would have been here like forcing myself to like do like the little grammar book, and like watching like, the people explain subjunctive and like that type of thing, and just like hoping that something works. And so at the end of the day, Dreaming Spanish has fully gotten me where I am today, which is like, I have actually learned a language. Of course, it's a lifelong thing. I've had to accept, there's no end. But Dreaming Spanish has definitely gotten me to where I am, where I'm like, now I can have friendships entirely in Spanish. And I'm literally watching stuff in Spanish. And it's just like, it's just not that big of a deal. And it's so weird too. It's so weird how gradual it is. Because it's just like, it's not one day from the next, And it's just like all of a sudden you can listen to podcasts and just like do things like you didn't know that you could do. And it's so weird. It's the coolest thing ever. The point is, I do genuinely have to thank Dreaming Spanish for my entire Spanish journey, because as many times I've been on and off of Spanish in my life, or like other languages, honestly, Korean's another one. My like favorite like language to be on and off with is like, I have to give everything to Dreaming Spanish in that way, that they were finally the ones that got me like disciplined enough and like motivated enough, and like I can actually do this while living in a Spanish speaking country. Dreaming Spanish has fully helped me in that way. It's helped me know that I can do this. And yeah, maybe I'm not going as fast as some people would in a Spanish speaking country. I've definitely just accepted the fact that I'm going to do the things I'm going to do in the way that I need to do them. And at the end of the day, it's paid off. It's paying off. Like I said, I still have so much to do, so much more to go on this journey. But yeah. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I definitely thought it was an interesting topic. If you have any thoughts, or if you're somebody who also lives in a Spanish speaking country, or in the country of your target language, what has your experience been? Or if not, if you still live in your native country, could you relate to some of these? Anyways, yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.